This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll, in light of the fact that some of us didn't have the opportunity to review the minutes, let's hold that off, review of the March meeting minutes until the May meeting. So we'll progress to the director's report.
Sorry, 1 second. I have so many screens open. Okay. I'm not muted, right? You can hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I have to remind myself what month we're highlighting here because it's been so busy. So in the month of March, I know Christina's been working hard to finalize camp scholarships with registrations for families. We had 2 new families come in more recently. So we always think that we're going to wrap things up in April, but really never do. So we're still working on that now, but we did with Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission establish a deadline for fundraising for camperships of 2022, so that any funds that come in after that deadline will go to subsequent years. It was really helpful for us to do that so that we could figure out what our final budget was for this year. So we were able to do that. Let's see. I have been having conversation with town's legal counsel on the scope of HIPAA requirements for the department, namely because we still have some outstanding IT needs, and it's been unclear to us whether or not, let's say we were able to acquire Constant Contact, for example, whether or not that needs to be HIPAA compliant. So the good news is that, at least in their legal opinion, that so long as the list of contacts on Constant Contact are not exclusively residents seeing us for mental health counseling, that we are able to move forward with something like that for the department. It's sort of their legal opinion also helped me analyze some other needs for the department, which are, conversations that are ongoing. So with regard to a database that outlines all of the residents we work at and what capacity we work with them. So let's say we had Sarah Castle listed in our database, and it indicates that she not only attended one of our workshops, but that she also started counseling services with us in 2021. That is something that would need to be HIPAA compliant because it identifies who's seeing us for what. Whereas Constant Contact is, the concern was that if somebody were able to access the list of people getting newsletters from us, for example, did that need to be HIPAA compliant? I don't, hopefully I'm explaining this well, but that's been sort of an ongoing conversation I've been having with legal counsel in the month of March. Let's see.
So what other things were identified through them?
Just that one specific question, because I had municipal technology on one side saying it absolutely has to be HIPAA compliant, and then conversations with other folks in town, a selectman, the staff who works within the IT department saying no, not necessarily. So I decided to pursue yet another opinion and get legal counsel's perspective on that. So really go ahead.
Very wise of you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think I don't know how to sort of circle back to all the parties involved with regard to moving forward with some of these things. Constant contact is one of the items that we've been looking at that would be very helpful for the department. Oops, we have Dave Joyner joining the meeting again. But we're still trying to identify something else that could function in that database capacity that I talked about. And I'm not sure what that software is quite yet. So the search continues for that, but it seems like, you know, we can kind of add one piece per year at this rate. So, but it's all worth it, you know, to be strategic and to, you know, thoroughly examine our options versus shooting from the hip. So
Sarah, I have a question. Is the constant contact database in replacement of the Thera-Notes?
no, so therapy notes will remain in place for all of our counseling services, and that definitely has to be HIPAA compliant. Of course, we would have loved to have found one software system that could meet all of our needs, but it's clear that that's not going to happen. So for our counseling services, we're going to continue with therapy notes unless we identify some other electronic health record system, but it would be just like therapy notes for that service. And then really, it sounds like everything else we do does not require HIPAA compliance. But if at any point we are clearly identifying someone as a mental health counseling client, then we have to make sure that whatever that system is HIPAA compliant. I wish I was an IT person because it would help me better understand all of this, but that's the gist of it.
I'm wondering, Sarah, if therapy notes and constant contact can work together in some way, that if somebody becomes a counseling client, that they could be elevated or moved over to the therapy notes.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yep. And that would be a question I would have for their sales team, and, you know, to better understand. And actually, several other departments in town have constant contact already, so I can also talk with them about that. I'm just trying to think of other highlights. Certainly we've been much more so in April, but in March also we've been preparing for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is the month of May, which I endearingly refer to every year as the Super Bowl of services, because we try to bring a lot of additional programming and work collaboratively with a lot of other departments. I'm hopeful that it was included in your packet, was a draft of the Mental Health Awareness Month calendar, which some of those details have been more fine-tuned. It was a draft because we were collaborating with so many other departments, we were dependent on some of them for the details. So for example, actually Shannon may be at this very moment meeting with the Trails Committee, and they are working with us on providing a guided hike. Not that we're doing the guided hike, but that we're looking to identify somebody who is a clinician who does this for a living. And if nothing else, we will work on offering a mindfulness hike with them. So we were just working with them to fine tune the details as to when and where that was going to happen. That is in your packet, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So I feel like the calendar unfortunately changes daily, but I think at this point, we probably have most of the details, so I can share. Actually, you can find an updated version, but I can also email that to everybody so that they're aware of it. We started working with Amanda Decker.
So
who is- oh, go ahead.
are we gonna go over the calendar again, or are we doing that now? Because I had some questions about that.
Yeah,
Oh.
go ahead.
So I was wondering, so like I saw there were a lot of things that included the library,
Mhm.
like story time with Miss Kim. Now she has story time all the time, so I
Right.
was kind of wondering like what is going to be different about it. Why is it on the youth and family calendar when they do it
Sure.
all the time anyway?
It's a very good question. So Shannon is going to be in attendance at Storytime. We tried last year to offer, sort of under the umbrella of the library, offer our own story time with Miss Shannon, but it did not take flight, with the intention of talking about, reviewing a book with kids about feelings, mental health on their level. If we're being honest, Miss Kim is a rock star in the eyes of the children, and so they're there to see her, and she's the draw. And so she invited Shannon to join her at her regularly scheduled story time. So I know that they're planning to review a book that has something to do with mental health at a children's level, and that they're also planning an activity. And we're not really doing much to advertise this because Miss Kim doesn't actually need to do any advertising. She's like, actually, I think Shannon referred to her this morning as the Grateful Dead. She has her own following. And so we aren't really needing to do any advertising for that because we're pretty much certain that kids are going to show up as they regularly do. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so each year when we start working on Mental Health Awareness Month, we tend to reach out to the library, the other community service departments. So the library, recreation, and the senior center. One thing that isn't on the calendar as of right now, because it's for two reasons, it just got scheduled as the senior center had just reached out to us, and because it's for a very specific population, but we've been invited to go do a talk for the senior center. They're hosting a lunch, and while the seniors are eating lunch, we're going to be up there talking to them about our services and about mental health for seniors. And then with recreation, we don't have a ton going on with them, although the Trails Committee is somewhat of an extension of the Recreation Department. And Tim Davis actually connected us to them. And then the library was very responsive. They typically are. And so they had a lot of ideas that they kind of threw at us, and we weren't going to turn any of them down because they were all great. So
have you decided to do away with the event that you would have, or that we've always had, or not always, but have had a few times? I know we didn't do
wellness.
we didn't do it because of COVID, but
right.
in past years we have discussed all of this before it was planned. So this year, all the planning is done, I guess.
Well, actually, people are still reaching out to us to say, hey, and some of these things, like you'll notice Jill Vroman, who's listed on there, it's actually not our event at all. We're just highlighting other things that are going on in the month of May that we think are worth checking out. But we were approached by Dr. Medina and Mary Ellen Duggan to see if there was something that they could do, since they no longer feel completely consumed by COVID. They may have some more time to do a talk. So things are kind of being added all the time, in the sense that we're just trying to highlight what comes our way. Celebrate Wellness. we talked about, and we were really eager to get back to it. However, sort of in consultation with the Board of Health, it felt like even though things are heading in a good trajectory, that we were feeling too iffy about it, and it was too quick a turnaround time to decide. So actually the hike was intended to try to be an outdoor option. It's not quite what we had originally been thinking. We were thinking some sort of outdoor event of sorts, but this is, we may still do something at the trailhead or at the end of the trail where we have a table or something like that. But
not the same. No, we're not.
It's not. No.
It's only people who
No.
like to hike are going to be there.
Yeah. So hopefully next year we will feel 100% comfortable, and have full confidence in bringing back Celebrate Wellness, because we do miss it and we really like it as a nice way to end the month of May. So.
How are you posting this flyer, sending it out? I'm sure you're doing all of the above, but.
Yeah, we've got it going out through the schools, through my Southborough, although, some of Christina's really handling more of the, when things are going out and to whom. I do think there was some holdup on things getting posted on my Southborough because Beth Mello had a couple of questions and wanted to get answers to those before posting the information. So I think that's been resolved. If you haven't seen it there, it should be coming. So they're the schools, my Southborough, our social media, our website, our bulletin. I might be forgetting some things, but all our usual channels of communication. And actually, to circle back to what I had first been talking about with constant contact, we have no way of creating an email distribution list. So, we can't share our stuff through email to mass numbers of people who want to subscribe to, our newsletter, for example. So if we had that, we could easily, you all, would be on there probably, and we would be sending those out with updates, and we can post things on our website and it kind of pings people to let them know that there's something new on the website, but unless they actively go to the website and look at it, they're not going to see it. So any other questions about Mental Health Awareness Month? I do want to highlight that the nominations for the Laurie Sugarman Whittier Wellness Award have been going on since the beginning of March, the soliciting of nominations, and we have had some great nominations so far, and that there's 2 days left. So we kind of were banking on a whole month, and we ended up with a little bit extra because we started at the beginning of March. But so if you yourself as board members have thoughts on someone you would like to nominate as as Christina put it in the flyer, a community hero, please consider nominating somebody in the next couple of days if you have thoughts on that. But the nomination forms will be reviewed for you. You guys will have those to review for the next meeting at the beginning of May. I'm trying to think of what else to highlight for you. It's really been Mental Health Awareness Month heavy. So I don't have much else. Trying to think or highlight for you what's happening. As I said, with the strategic plan, working with town council to determine the scope of HIPAA compliance for the department. as I mentioned to you a few meetings back, we have Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission did tell us that we could use or have that laptop that was previously purchased. And so we're working with the IT department to fully update that to the town's safety and security standards so that we have a laptop for one of our interns. I have been working a lot with other youth and family service directors to, for a number of reasons, IT being one of them. Hi, Marguerite. IT being one of them, but we're also talking about collaborating on some services and programs together. You guys probably recall me talking about groups and how we have a difficult time getting residents to attend groups. We get more bang for our buck when we can do that because we can't just keep seeing everybody individually because it's just too many people. So we've been trying to do more groups, but understandably, residents don't probably feel the level of anonymity that they would like when they're guaranteed to be sitting in a group with people from their own community. So we had the idea as Metro West Youth and Family Service Directors to partner with one another to possibly offer a group for 3 towns at once so that we could give people some added buffers from one another if that was a concern of theirs. So we're not moving forward with that, but we're having some preliminary conversation about the idea to see if there's other towns interested. Let's see. I've been reaching out to local agencies about trainings that we could offer to our department annually. This is another area that we might partner with other youth and family service departments because all of us are pretty similar in that we have small number of staff. So these agencies aren't likely to come out to train 3 people, but they might if we had a group of 15. So if we joined forces to have enough people, but also to pool our resources. So for example, the vicarious trauma support for staff and a training on self-care. I spoke with somebody who told me, yeah, we can do that training for you. It's $1,000. So we don't have just an extra $1,000 lying around, unfortunately. So that's another example of how we might partner with other youth and family service departments, or that we're kind of just thinking about that. I guess again, with mental health services, I think I've mentioned this in a couple of previous meetings. We're talking about diversifying our mental health services. As I just said, you know, our #1 response to mental health needs is to provide outpatient counseling. And even if we're calling it short-term, it's just, you know, for every individual we meet with, it's a whole hour. Our appointments are an hour. Plus we have contact with parents. So it's just, it takes up a lot of our staff's time. So we're trying to identify other options, which is what we're coming up with more recently, is to offer individual work with people, but time limited work that is very skills focused. So Megan and I have been kind of talking about that and trying to formalize, or I've been formalizing plans to work with parents because I've been working with a lot of parents lately, but we're going to try to work on this a little bit more over the summer months to see if, yes.
Speaking of Megan, I was wondering, does Megan still go to Algonquin? Is she still working with the? Yeah,
we have offered to go to Algonquin, but I'm just going to make an assumption here based off of what I've heard from staff individually, that they have had, they've been overwhelmed over there, I think, with need to the point where we didn't end up, normally what happens at the beginning of the year is we have a meeting where we reconnect with one another and we talk about students we're working with, needs that they have on the table. That didn't happen this year because we couldn't schedule anything, we weren't hearing back, and to, you know, no poor reflection on them. It was just my assumption that it was a very crazy couple of years. So the short answer is yes, we still go to Algonquin, but we haven't lately because, why'd you ask, I guess?
Oh, because we haven't seen Megan for a while, and I never see anything in the director's report about, you know, she had the different groups going over there. And so I just started wondering, like, if she was still doing that or how, you know, it was going, or.
I don't know. I'm not sure which groups you're talking about. I know she's had a couple of individual clients that she's seen over at Algonquin. She also has some Algonquin students who come to the office. But it may have been an intern that was running a group over there. I'm not remembering, but.
Or was it at Trottier where she was working with kids, like I forget what she called it.
Youth council?
Yeah.
Yes, we still do youth council, and that's at Trottier.
That's at Trottier. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And actually, changing of the guard, since Shannon's focused more on prevention work, youth council is actually what we consider a prevention program. It's a youth-led group. They work on mental health advocacy for their peers. And so since Shannon's sort of become more focused on prevention work and wearing that hat in the department now, she has taken over coordination of that group. So yeah, so they have been an interesting group. I think I know it's sad that Shannon and Megan haven't been able to join us at these meetings, but the Youth Council this year, back in January, hosted a hot chocolate social. And one of the things I'll endearingly highlight about this particular age group, the fact that it's youth-led is great, but it's also makes getting anything done very challenging. So because she's there to advise, so she does not take over very intentionally. If they want to get something done and they need to talk to Mr. Hershak, the principal, it's them that is calling him and asking for a meeting with him. If they want to find out from the band teacher if they can have music at something, it's them that has to reach out to that teacher. So at any rate, she's there, but she's very hands-off for that reason. Thus, as I said, things take a long time to get done, but they did have one event this year, which is the hot chocolate social. And they are talking about doing a therapy animal event before the end of the year. Whether that comes to fruition or not, I'm not sure, but it's a great group of kids, and it's really great for the whole school community, but also for those kids specifically who are participating. They really get a lot out of it, and it's great for their confidence and self-esteem that they're, getting to spearhead some of these things, and that they don't have a bunch of adults making decisions for them, which is often, the dynamic. So
is that youth council, is that anyone can join, or is it chosen students? Okay.
Anyone can join. Shannon, again, this is one of the areas that she sort of had to sit on her hands a little bit, but about recruitment of new members. I think there's somebody on youth council who's supposed to be in charge of recruitment and advertisement. Not sure how well that's going. But yes, anyone can join, and they meet on Wednesdays after school.
Okay. Did you have any other highlights for the director's report?
I mean, I could just read everything that's on there, but I'm sure you all, you know, either had a chance to look at it or will. So I think that feels sufficient for now. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Yeah, I was wondering, I see upcoming events and you and Megan are going to different training sessions. So I was wondering how you are going to, what you're going to do to implement the training. Like, are you going to have programs after you have these trainings, or like, how do these trainings help you to serve the residents?
Sure. Well, I'm looking at the ones that I have listed here, the PACES training. So I don't know if people have heard of ACEs before, but it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. PACES adds another element to that, which is positive and adverse childhood experiences. And there's an ongoing movement to use PACES to screen children to determine how at risk they might be or how many protective factors there are. So this actually just happens to be a free training. It's only an hour long. There's an agency that offers various trainings, a whole series of them that are all free and are all an hour long. So I signed up for that one because of the fact that it was during lunch break and because it was free. So I had no intention on doing something with it, though I do feel as though it's helpful information.
Informative, yeah.
The same is true for Healing Anxious Kids and the Anxious Families. We have a lot of kids that we're seeing who are experiencing school avoidance. And so any information I can get on that, I seize the opportunity. This is put on by the same organization. So again, it's a very brief training. I think they do that very intentionally and offer it during lunch break for people. Which one is Megan doing? I'm trying to find that here.
There was one.
Or maybe she took this last month in March.
Oh, yes.
It
It was
positive psychology one.
Yeah.
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 It was up, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is also, so we have a budget for training. This is not something that we paid for, so I have a feeling this is a similar situation where it was a free training that was being offered that she wanted to seize the opportunity to take. I will tell you that I am actually actively pursuing a certificate as a certified clinical supervisor, which is helpful for the department because of the fact that any supervisory competence that we can add to the department, especially being a department, the only department that offers this type of work. I'm very grateful that we have our consultant and the woman Rona providing me supervision, because it's an added layer of competence and security and safety for residents that we're working with. But this is something I want to pursue also through our licensing board. So record keeping and supervision was the first training in this certificate that I took. So you're likely going to see a lot of supervision trainings from me over the coming months. They all occur on Sundays, so I'm spacing them out a little bit, but yeah, that is intended to help the department for sure. All of it is intended to help the department, but you know, a lot of these are we get thrown a lot of free trainings our way. And so long as they're not taking up the whole day, we try to participate in them if we can.
Sarah, can you tell me how the Listen with Love trainings are going, workshops?
I took one. It was great.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it, Lauren?
So I know Shannon put a lot of time into this and ended up breaking a larger subject into what will be the one that she's doing now, plus another one later. But it was very well done, and the people that I was in the group with, I think we all learned something. I was just talking to my husband about it tonight. In fact, there's lots of need for it right now, is just learning to listen.
This is really kind of when I talked about diversifying our mental health services, even though this is not direct service per se. Again, there's no possible way that we can provide outpatient counseling to everybody, and there's a shortage of clinicians. And so, not to say that we're trying to train people to provide counseling to their own family members, but we need to do as much as we can in a sort of grassroots effort sort of way to equip people with and fine tune their skills to be able to support each other. And so Shannon's workshops that she's been working on have really been geared towards that. The QPR suicide prevention training, for one, is, we can't wait for clinicians to get their eyes on people. We all need to know what to look for. And then Listen with Love really came as an extension of that, because there's a whole lot that needs to happen even before we get to the point of crisis, that really could prevent, things from becoming worse. So this workshop is really about how to support members of your family and how to get them to keep talking to you. We hear from so many parents that I would love to talk to my kid, but I can't get them, they won't talk to me, So it's all about planting seeds, doing a little bit of work every conversation you have.
No, this communication piece, to prevent, to support people in mental health crisis or just situations is really important. I just finished the National Association of Mental Health parent-to-parent support group, and if anybody has a family member or someone they care about who is in a mental health situation, I highly recommend it. But what I took from it, the most important piece was the communication piece. And I think a lot of us, when you are presented with a mental health situation, we want to fix it. And we want to jump in. Okay, well, I'm going to do this and that. And it's just totally overwhelming. And this whole listening with love thing has struck a chord to me. And I think we all need to be better at it. And I think our human nature is trying to fix things or problem solve. But a lot of times when people are in a mental health situation, you just need to listen and provide compassionate quietness. So I think that everybody should take opportunity to go to Shannon's workshop. I'm going to be the next person to sign up. I'm really excited about this.
I would love to get your feedback on it, Sarah, since you've just gone through that parent-to-parent workshop. If you have suggestions for us,
highly recommend the workshop. Honestly, it's 8 weeks and really, really helpful. So yes, I will definitely go, but I learned a lot about not communicating, like just listening. And so
that's definitely, I love hearing you say that, because that's definitely, I feel like people might look at the name of the workshop and go, know how to listen. I got this. Like, I don't need to go to a workshop about this, but I cannot convey enough, that I feel really confident that people will learn something, or at least get reinforcement for something good that they're already doing, and do more of that. And I think people think they know how to listen, but do they really? I do think there's this tendency, because it's hard for us to see our loved ones struggling, that we want to jump in, problem solve, and fix it. That's our first instinct. But in fact, it really,
part of the love is bearing their pain and
Yep.
being able to listen to it. And and I just am really excited about this programming. I think it's really key in helping community, families, loved ones be able to help their family members in a supportive type of way. I learned a lot. So yes, I'm going to go to the workshop. So
and if any of the rest of you are able to come, even if it's just to give us feedback, that's really helpful, because Shannon, this was informed by the CRAFT model, which if anybody ends up looking that up, it's actually for families going through substance abuse treatment. So this is not a substance abuse treatment program, but the information in that CRAFT model is so fantastic that Shannon used that to inform the information that she's sharing in this program. But it's something that she pieced together, she worked on. We did dress rehearsals, we changed things, and so we're open to feedback and additions or clarifying something. So we really appreciate feedback on it if you have a chance to go.
I want to go. When's the next one?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up.
It says 4/27. I'm there.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
I'd like to
All
go
right.
too.
Awesome.
Should we move on to the budget update, if there is one?
Sure. I'm trying to remember. Okay, I think the only update I have is there's really no update, but I did attend, we were all encouraged as department heads to attend a joint meeting between the select board and advisory, as they were starting to take positions on whether to support budget proposals or not. So as a town department head, I attended, and our budget was not discussed at all. So I know that these conversations are ongoing. I've received no indication that there is not support. I think we've made it very clear to them. What we're asking for is, I remember as Sue used to say, not fluff. It's, I think the biggest item that's in there is additional funds to work with Rona, who's the consultant and supervisor. And again, as I highlighted earlier, that's really in the town's best interest, because when we're doing this work on our own, we need added consultation from an outside perspective. And that's really critical for the safety and well-being of residents we're working with, especially as we're seeing increased acuity from people. So that's the only update I have to give, is that I have not heard any news.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
For the Friends report, Sue Butka was not able to join us tonight, but I think probably the thing to highlight here is that there's a May 7th Shop with a Purpose event, and that'll be at the what is it called, the Community House.
Yes, yeah.
So we would, it looks like we'll get out to outreach opportunities, but it looks like we'll be looking for some outreach from our board members from there.
Yeah. Do
So,
you want me to talk about that now or when we get to it
yeah,
later?
why don't we go ahead and hit that?
Okay. So, yes, further down, there's several outreach opportunities. We're heading into outreach season. It's been rather dry lately, but lots of opportunities are coming our way. And so shop with a purpose, or swap, as we've been calling it in the office, because it's easier to say, is happening at the community house, and Friends has carved out some space for us to have an outreach table, which is great because this is really a fundraiser for the Camp Scholarship Program. And so for us to be there and to have information about the Camp Scholarship Program and about the other services we provide, I think is really important. Plus, I would really like to show our appreciation to Friends for, there's been a lot of legwork going into this event. So I intend to be there for 3 or so hours in the morning. It runs from 11 to 4. I'd like to help with setup and things like that. Plus, we're going to have our own table to set up. But I am looking to see if we could get some other folks to come and just be a warm and friendly face. We will have information to pass out to people. You don't have to be an expert on everything we do or the details. In fact, a lot of these events, we have just enough time to go, here, take a bag. And the bag is already going to be pre-stuffed with all of the information we want to hand out to people. So the event runs from 11 to 4. I'm able to go for the first few hours. So if anyone else is able
I
to.
can do some hours myself, whether it's set up or breakdown or whatever.
You know, Christina had done one of those, oh, I forget what it's called now, but it's
Sign Up Genius.
Sign Up Genius for another outreach event. That worked pretty well.
Okay.
Is that something we could ask her to do
Yep.
for both this and for the food trucks?
Yep. Is it okay for me to just briefly review that too while we're on the
Yes,
subject?
please.
Okay, so the other piece is that the Rotary Club is doing their food truck festival again this year, which is exciting because they haven't been able to. And they are, I don't exactly understand how they're doing this, but they try to have a fundraising or service component to all of their events. And their focus this year is on our Camp Scholarship Program. They're working with Friends to try to help fundraise for this. And so we intend to have an outreach for the very same reasons I highlighted previously, an outreach table at each food truck festival. So there's 4 of those, and they run on Wednesdays from 3. In some places I've seen till 7 p.m. and other places I've seen till 6:30. Sorry, can you hear my cats? They're fighting.
I thought that was your stomach.
No, can you hear them? They're fighting with each other. So we're looking to have volunteers to help out at the food trucks. I don't know, I mean, any help is helpful. If we don't have somebody for every single night, that's all right. If we have one person for 1 hour, you know, because to be there for that length of time might be a big ask. So I'll ask Christina to do a Sign Up Genius for all of these and send it to you guys. And any help you could offer would be greatly appreciated.
All right. And while we're at it, the Board of Selectmen meeting?
Right.
On the 26th.
Right. So I do think Beth had offered to go to that. But if others are interested, so long as we don't, well, we can have a quorum, we just have to post the meeting. But as part of Mental Health Awareness Month, the Select Board is planning to share a proclamation that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I, unfortunately, it's going to be likely to be an in-person meeting. So I had been invited to go to receive the proclamation, but Tuesdays are a difficult night for me to be able to attend. So to be able to attend in person, here I am on a Tuesday attending a meeting, but I can do it virtually, but not likely to do it in person. So I was just looking to see if anybody would be available to attend that. And I have a feeling it's a very quick, big top of the agenda item, would be about 5 minutes of time. And so that's on the last meeting in April, the last meeting before Mental Health Awareness Month starts. So that's April 26th.
That's 6:30.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not able to attend that night, but Beth, or is that something you said you could do?
Yeah, I can do that. And then Sue indicated that she could do it, but only if it was virtual because they'd be out of town. And so if anyone else would like to go, that would be awesome. I was wondering if Christina would like to go, since she works for the department and she lives in town. So I wondered if she also would like to go.
I can
I'm
attend.
not sure.
David, you'd like to attend, David? That would be awesome.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So how many is a quorum?
4.
4.
4. So if it was David and I and then Christina wouldn't make a quorum because she's not on the commission. So
Right. Yeah, I can't speak for her. I'm not sure about
I'm
her
just throwing
availability,
it out
but
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will meet you there, David.
We'll see you there.
Okay, great.
All right, we have a few kind of significant chunks to go through tonight, including the strengthening of the Youth Commission, some ARPA fund requests, and the Ellen Beyondtech scholarship application. So I want to make sure that we have time to go through all of that. Along the lines of the strategic plan for strengthening the Youth Commission, we were discussing during our agenda meeting. Beth, do you want to talk about the roll call discussions that you've seen done?
Yeah, that was on my mind that day. I don't know if I'm that gung-ho about it anymore.
Okay.
But I just noticed that some other at some other meetings, because now that we can watch them on Zoom, it's pretty interesting to learn from them. That when it's an important thing and they want to get people's feedbacks, an important topic, they go around the board or the committee and call each person and ask each person if they have anything to say. And I think that could be helpful so that everybody has an opportunity to say something when it's an important topic. It wouldn't be necessary, for example, like when Sarah's discussing the director's report, like we could still have, our flowing conversations, but sometimes I think people miss out on an opportunity to say something, and that it could be helpful, but I don't know if it is or not. So just kind of putting it out there to see what other people think, how other people feel about it.
Well, I think used on occasion for certain topics, it might be helpful. And as you said, may not be for every topic we discuss.
Mhm.
Is there anyone that'd like to speak for or against roll call discussions? Roll call voting is still on, as long as we're doing remote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this idea because people might have something they want to say, but I think especially in the Zoom environment, sometimes people can get lost.
Yeah.
And so this might give people an opportunity to have a voice. I agree with Lauren, it shouldn't be about every single topic. I don't know how we discern what we would want to have a roll call discussion on, but it might be something to discuss further.
And
I would agree. I would agree also. I think having a roll call discussion specifically allows each of us to, or each participant to speak at a particular point, as opposed to trying to jump in and figure out when to say something. And plus, if you don't have anything that you want to share or anything specific, you just say, well, I think that the group has spoken for what I have to say. So I don't think there's any harm in having that format or that way of including people. So there's a good idea.
I agree with you, David. It can be kind of hard to jump in at times, and there's been times when I've just like not chimed in because we've, just wasn't an opportunity. So if people like it, we could try it, like maybe try it next time.
Well, I'm thinking on the Beyondtech scholarship, we should maybe do that tonight.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Susan, do you have anything to add to that? We're
No, I
giving it a
think
try
that-
right now.
No, I'm usually quiet anyway, because I'm afraid I'm gonna make, say something silly, but I think that most people, speak up as we go along if they have something important to say. But I think by all means, if people want to take turns and give their opinions, then that's important as well. So
Great.
I just want to echo, having listened to many other board meetings through Zoom now, that I have seen, in case anyone's feeling pressure, I have seen many, many people just say, I have nothing further to add.
Yes.
And it's simple as that,
Yes. Mhm.
which is great.
Okay. I see even a couple of things tonight we might use that on. So let's talk about, let's see, I'm just referring to the agenda here. So a couple of things, and we can hit it in an order. Now, Margaret's, she's not pending waiting to come back in, is she? Okay, it looks like we might have lost her again. But she had drafted a statement for the website, and I noticed that her statement included the wording that the mission of the Southborough Youth Commission is something. So one of the discussions, we'll be discussing tonight the draft statement for the website, but also whether we should have a mission statement itself, and is this the mission statement?
Right.
So kind of working all those into it, and then also talking about the history of the Youth Commission. So I think what maybe we could do is talk about the history of the Youth Commission first, and then discuss the mission statement and the draft statement for the website second as part of that. Beth, thank you very much for pulling out all of that information from the town library.
You're welcome. And I did watch last month's meeting, and I'm very sorry that I was unable to attend after putting out all this important stuff, and then I wasn't able to be there. But I did watch it, and I just wanted to let people know that I had no intention of putting all this history on the website. Like, that was not my intention at all. But I did think it would be important to put on the website when the Youth Commission started and what it was charged with. So after I found out that information, which I did share with you, Mr. Haggerty's email to me, I'm kind of a curious person. So it started me thinking, well, if the Youth Commission started in 1978, when did the Youth and Family Services Department start? And so I asked him that question, and he's like, you can just go to the library and look up all this stuff yourself. So I did not know that. And at the library, they have copies of town annual reports going back way back. But since I knew that we started in 1978, I only had to start with 1978, which was 44 years ago. And so I'm not going to read everything, but there are a few highlights that I wanted to, some of them are just fun to know, and some of them are kind of important. So start with 1978, the first annual report that was written by the Youth Commission. The first goal of Southborough's newly established Youth Commission is to design programs to meet the opportunities, challenges, and problems of youth, as mandated by Chapter 40 of the Mass General Laws governing youth commissions. And that was included in the packet this time round. Chapter 40, Section 8E is what we are charged with. And so some of it pertains to cities, but I'm just going to read the part that pertains to towns. Section 8E, a city or town which accepts this section may establish a youth commission, hereinafter called the commission, for the purpose of carrying out programs which may be designed or established to meet the opportunities, challenges, and programs of youth of said city or town, and in conjunction with similar or related programs of any agency of the Commonwealth or any agency of the federal government. It should keep accurate records of its meetings, which we have, Sarah does a wonderful job of doing that. And shall file an annual report, which our other Sarah does a wonderful job of doing that. And the commission may appoint such clerks, as we have with Christina, and other employees as it may seem fit from time to time. The commission shall consist of not less than 3 nor more than 21 members. When I saw 21, I was like, wow, that would be a lot of members. In towns, they shall be appointed by the selectmen. Said commission may receive gifts of property, both real and personal, in the name of the city or town, subject to the approval of the selectmen in the town. Such gifts may be managed and controlled by the commission for the purpose of this section. And that very last part tells me that we can accept opera funds if we so choose to. And then back to the annual report from 1978, the last paragraph is, I mean, I read it and it just blew me away, because even though it was written 44 years ago, it still is so relevant to today. These are confusing times for young people of this community, as they are for young people everywhere. Parents as well as children are finding it more and more difficult to cope with the tensions and pressures of society, which seems bent on self-destruction. Perhaps the greatest service the Youth Commission can offer through its programs is to help young people develop some positive values, some internal controls, and self-discipline, which will enable them to become responsible and sane participants in an irrational world. To this end, at least, we are dedicated. So the kids are dealing with all of this and even more today. I mean, it just doesn't stop. Like we were already talking about, about that. And also in the packet this time around, which I just happened to come across, is a report that the CDC put out on April 1st of this year. And it's the report on a survey that they did about the ill effects of the pandemic on adolescents. And it's just, I don't know if you guys read it, but it's just heartbreaking. And so that's the reason why I put it in, is it kind of fits in with speaking about how the youth of today are having really difficult problems. And so then I just want to quickly go through the rest of them, like really quickly. Like in 1979, it talked about campership, which that was 43 years ago. So we have been doing camperships for 43 years, and that is like awesome. That is so important. I wonder how many kids have gone to camp because of the campership. Like that is so cool to me, I think. Like, we should be really proud of that. In 1985, under the preventive programs, they talk about Project Friends. I don't know if we're doing that right now. I think it was on hold because of COVID, but still, like, wow, like that was a really long time ago. That was 37 years ago, and it's still ongoing. And in 1985, it says that the Youth Commission meets on the second Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock. And they're still doing it. We're still doing it. So this one is important, and I'm really sorry because I wrote at the top 1998, and it was supposed to be 1988. So that's, sorry about that. This year, the Youth Commission Board voted to name the service office and staff of the Southborough Office of Youth and Family Services. The board will continue to be called the Youth Commission. So that's very interesting, but however, there is no indication as to how they came about this decision or why, or, you know, or anything, but that's how it happened. And I think Sarah always wondered, why are we Youth and Family and the commission is the Youth Commission? So there's our answer. And it's called Youth and Family because in many of the reports, it would say that we are serving the youth and their families. So that's how it came to be Youth and Family, because that was always a question also. Also in 1988, the Youth Commission held their third annual Halloween party, the biggest yet, attended by 200 children and adults. We also hosted our second Flag Day picnic at the gazebo, providing live music, balloons, and refreshments to approximately 300 Southborough residents. So that kind of made me think about the CDC's report too, because it talks a lot about isolation and how the ill effects of isolation. And so social interaction is very important to well-being. And in 1993, they reported that it had been a good year for the Youth Commission, although it continued to be a tight one financially. We have made every effort to continue to provide a high level of service as to many people as possible. Thanks to funding raised by the Friends of the Youth Commission, we have been able to do this. So that, yeah, to me, that spoke about the importance of our friends and how all along they've been fundraising for us. In 1994, something that caught my eye under the prevention programs was the mentor program. And the mentor program was continued by the Youth Commission at Algonquin High School this year. Participants were students interested in providing community service, specifically by staffing the Youth Commission's Teen Center. The mentors were trained to work with young teens at the Teen Center, learning about communication skills in limit setting, and then going on to help plan for, organize, and staff the teen centers. Mentors also helped out with other volunteer activities in the community. And 75 students participated that year, which was like really great. And sadly, as we know, when smartphones hit the scene, the teen center attendance fell off a cliff like a lead ball. And we had many discussions about what to do about it, and we just didn't really know what to do about it. So nothing really happened because we didn't have any solutions, which is kind of sad because, again, it was a social thing, and kids need that. In 2002, something that caught my eye was early release day programs, and the Youth Commission had a trip to Roller Kingdom for the Trottier students on early release day in an effort to provide a fun and wholesome activity and to cut down on some of the hanging out downtown. So that was funny to me because I never really saw the hanging out downtown as a real big problem, but apparently other people did.
Maybe
And
20 years ago, it was a big problem.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
There's a lot to do down there.
I think
mean,
people
you
would
know,
be
when a lot of
excited if that happened now.
what did you say?
I said, I think people would be excited if that happened now.
You know, they were there for like an hour and a half and they went to the House of Pizza or they bought candy at Maro's and, you know, it wasn't really that bad in my opinion. But I kind of liked driving through Main Street and seeing them all there. So in my opinion, it really wasn't that bad. I included 2003 for the simple fact that it had a nice picture of the staff and there's Laurie. And then we go to 2017, which was Sarah's first annual report, and it had much different feel with lots of different information on it. And most of us already know all about it, and those who don't are free to read Sarah's annual reports. So that's it. That's all I was planned to do, is just kind of review it because some of it was fun and some of it's informative. And but as far as the webpage goes, I do think it would be really important to include the date that town meeting approved to adopt Chapter 40, Section 8E, and what we are specifically charged with. That's my opinion. You know, we can talk about that part of it. So that's it.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun reading through everything.
Yeah, it was. I thought
Especially
so.
like the Halloween parties and that was great.
Thank you.
I think we could progress to the draft statement for the town website, and also with this discussion, do we want to have it be a mission statement or something separate from a mission statement? Marguerite's draft included the wording that the mission that the 5 points of the mission of the Southborough Youth Commission. Kind of my thought is I really liked the draft as it was written, and I like, you know, if I try to think of a different way to do the mission statement, I think we could have a mission statement and this be it. And we could include the information also for the website's purpose about the formation of the Youth Commission.
In my opinion, I really liked what Marguerite wrote. I'm very persnickety about my things like this, and I thought it was totally on point. I couldn't find anything to add or revise. I do think maybe a little historical account, one sentence of what Beth presented in terms of the state legislation that created the Youth Commission might be, and the date that we embarked on our mission would be helpful. But I think it's really important to keep in mind is who is going to be looking at this information, you know? And I think it, you know, to Marguerite's draft, I think it's either people who are, you know, I'd like to be on the Youth Commission, or I watched a Zoom of the Youth Commission. I'm really interested in what they do. I need a little bit more information, but you have to really think about who your audience is. And it's either someone who's interested or just wants some background information. I don't think we need to go any further. Most of the statements on the website for the other boards are very kind of to the point and simple. I don't think we need to get into a whole lot of details, but some historical context might be helpful. So
I would agree that the draft statement was very well done. I think that was the first thing that impacted me when I saw it was it accomplished what we talked about the last time, being brief and really hitting the high points of what the commission does. My only addition or maybe suggestion is I would put number 2, the supporting programming, above the evaluating the budget. I think the idea of putting of programming, because it kind of ties in with the first line of section 80, which says that the commission would be for the purpose of carrying out programs. So I would just put programming above evaluating the budget. But other than that, I think it very well captured what we had talked about, the goal of this exercise. So those my 2 cents.
Beth?
So I reordered the mission of the Youth Commission. Well, first of all, I want to say that when I watched back the meeting from last month, some people talked about what our mission was, which made me wonder, do we have a written mission statement? And I asked Christina if she had a copy of it, because she keeps copies of the description of the offices in a file. And for some reason, I just kind of in my mind, I thought it also included a mission statement, but I don't know. She never got back to me on that. So I don't know. Sarah, do you know if she found it, or she didn't find it, or if she forgot about it, or?
The other part there, just independent of searching down the mission statement, is that the mission statement was probably written 5 or 10 years ago, and what we're doing right now is probably different from that. So it's good to have it, but I'm not sure it's the best sales pitch for us.
Marguerite, the reason why it came up as a question was because some people thought that we were writing a mission statement here, and some people think that we are just writing a description of what we do. So we're trying to decide, is it a mission statement, or do we have a mission statement, or
On the library's webpage, we have a mission statement. It's nothing like the stuff that's on the town website, because we felt that the town website was trying to get people to get involved with the library, and that the mission statement was too dry.
So the question here is, do we have a mission statement?
That's a really good question. And if we have it, it will be out of date, right?
Yeah.
If we have it, we have to rewrite it.
That could be something we wanted.
Our job descriptions, our commission descriptions, and it's not on that document.
Not, okay. So it was just a question, because some people at the last meeting said our mission is, and so that got me thinking, do we have where did that come from? That got past me. I didn't know that we did have a mission.
Yeah, mission statements wear out. They never last more than 5 or 10 years. So
I don't know that our mission statement needs to be a dry, formal statement. It could be the statement that maybe reordered somewhat, but that was provided by Marguerite.
Well, that's just what everybody said out loud during that meeting, is what we do. And I just thought, that sounds like just about right, doesn't it?
It does say the mission of the Southborough Youth Commission is, but I think more our mission is what we are charged with.
Sarah?
Sorry.
Oh, look, she has her hand up.
I have my hand raised. I'm going to lower my hand now. I just wanted to share that through the strategic planning process, we worked on a new mission for the department. I know that's not what we're talking about here, but Anne, who's well-versed in this process, encouraged us to try to come up with a one-line mission statement that actually is timeless, regardless of any changes that happen. And so, just as an example, we said, the mission of our department is to provide, I should have this memorized, but it's behavioral health support and social services to Southborough residents of all ages. It's very sort of general.
That's beautiful.
So I think that, you know, this feels like a lot more what you guys are working on, a lot more in depth, and that the mission statement could be really kind of a summary statement.
That's kind of what I was thinking, you know,
Just-
one-liner, and then Marguerite's points could be what substantiates that mission statement. These are the things that we are charged with and are our goals, where we just have a one-liner that kind of describes what the overall objective of us getting together once a month is. So
So our mission statement, the mission statement of the Youth Commission is to support the mission of Southborough Youth and Family Services in et cetera, what she just said, right?
But you could repeat the mission of the Youth and Family Services.
Yes.
You know, instead of just saying our mission is to support their mission. I just think it would be very helpful, and it kind of gives you a global thing. If that's the only thing you read, then you kind of have a general idea. A lot of people go on a website and they just want, you know, instant gratification, and they only have 2 seconds to spend. So they have a one-liner and they can take it home from there. I think if we, you know, if we want to put in a historical stuff, that's when you talk about the, you know, when the Youth Commission was founded and state legislation. But I think that is really dry and a total turnoff. When I read other organization departments websites, you know, I thought, oh my God, you know, if you are maybe a politician or you know, somebody who enjoys, or a lawyer, but I think if we're really trying to attract people to join us in either outreach programming or on the board, I think that being succinct and as positive and active and energizing is the best approach.
So I'd just like to finish, and I agreed with David that number 2 should be number 1. But I also reordered all of them, actually. I thought number 3 could be number 2. I didn't see the need for number 4. Number 5 could be number 3, and number 1 could be number 4. That was my opinion, because I don't think our number 1 duty is to oversee the budget. I think our number 1 duty is to advise and support youth and family service programming, and that speaks to what we are charged with. So that was my opinion on that part of it. And then the bottom part, I thought number 1 could be mental health support for all residents, and number 2 could be emergency financial assistance, and number 3 could I would scratch the physical health part on number 3, and number 4, I liked number 4.
Okay.
So that's my thoughts on the whole, on Marguerite's draft. And thank you, Marguerite, for creating that.
Well, I hope it's a good sales piece, that's all.
Would it be helpful to have it on the screen?
Yes, probably would.
Does anybody have it pulled up already on their computer? No?
I don't, I just have the draft in front of me.
Yeah, I have the draft in front of me.
Maybe Beth could send her reordering to Marguerite and we can look at it, because I agree. I think reshuffling it by priority is probably appropriate. but it was hard to follow.
Yeah. No, from what I followed and wrote down, I would agree that that would be a fine reordering. Beth had suggested to remove number 4, which was to liaise between the Youth and Family Services and the Friends group to support their fundraising efforts. I could see that being taken out. I don't know if it's a primary goal of ours, but it is something I think we were supposed to work on strengthening that relationship as well, if I'm not mistaken. Might
So
be mistaken.
I just thought, my thoughts about that one sentence was that really it's up to the Friends to report if they have anything to report. And like, we don't really liaise, they just tell us what's happening. Like, we don't really do any liaise work between the Friends and the department.
Okay.
They just tell us. So that's why I said to leave that out. But if people like it, that's okay too.
Maybe it's a matter of a different verb. Because we do have our direct relationship with Friends, so we don't depend on the Youth Commission to liaise between us and Friends, but I do think that it's likely a goal of the board to work collaboratively with the Friends group. So that's why I wonder if a different verb
That would work.
other than liaise.
So collaborate.
I mean, don't
Sounds
they
good.
Collaborate with Youth and Family Services and the Friends group. Okay. And what it would become, it would
Become
become
number
number 5.
Become number 5. So we're not doing the role thing like we just said we were gonna, but
No, that was just my editing, but yes, we certainly can. Or we can ask if anyone else has
sure.
any additional thoughts on the editing of that. I think we're a 7-member commission. So I just caught that.
Oh, are we?
At least we're not 21.
Somebody has to stay home.
Less than 21.
So going forward with this, what I think I wrote down all of those changes that we could bring to the next meeting as kind of a final draft. Is that acceptable for everyone to look at this again next meeting in a second draft form?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
And
good.
would you
So
like?
Laura, you got the edits down?
I did. I
And you'll
wrote
do
them
the
really
second
quickly.
draft? Okay.
Do we want to include at the top then the one-line mission statement to support the mission of the Southborough Youth and Family Services in, and then insert their mission?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. I think the more, you can't say that enough times.
Mhm.
That was a
Okay.
really good mission statement.
So we'll put that
I
at
would
the
agree.
top. Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, did we want to put in a sentence of historical nature?
I think it's important to say what year that town meeting voted to accept Chapter 40, Section 8E of Massachusetts General Law.
Or what about just saying the Southborough Youth Commission was created in, name the date.
1978 per order of blah, 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 blah.
Well, the blah, 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 blah does not bode well.
No, I hate blah, blah, blah.
But I
My
know
brain-
exactly what you mean.
So
And
I
I-
have a question. I didn't realize that there was a law in 1978 And so I've heard that some towns don't have youth and family commissions. So what stipulates, is it the population of the town that they
No.
say?
It was voted unanimously to accept that at town meeting in 1978. So it went before town meeting and the residents voted to adopt it. So, it's up to individual towns if they want to adopt that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's
And it says they may establish a youth commission, so it
Right.
just gives the
It's not a
charter, which
law,
allows
it's
them
not
to.
a-
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a good point because that it does say they may.
okay.
Sarah, do you have something?
I was just gonna say, I find, the charter to be a beacon of sorts, whether it's spelled out on the website or at least a link to it. But let's picture this youth commission 20 years from now having the same conversation all over again. I feel like it's kind of like the Constitution, you go back to it and say, okay, are we still on track with what our
Right.
founding fathers wanted? And so
Right.
I don't think it needs to be, it's a long charter.
Mhm.
Can we just reference it at least so that people can go, what the heck is this thing that they're talking about, chapter, whatever?
Yes.
Totally up to you guys, but I just
I
find
think it would be a good link.
I think
yeah.
having a link is
Agreed.
an awesome idea.
Can you
Agreed.
hot link it? Can you make it a hot link on the website if they?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Does anyone have any additional suggestions?
Maybe some pictures of us on that.
In another
No
40
balloons?
years, they'll be looking at it.
And they're gonna say, oh, they wore their hair so funny in those days.
Yeah. Great. So any more discussion on that one? We're good?
You're
Okay.
good.
And this is more for my benefit than anyone else's because I didn't know the process, but the review process for youth commission offices is coming up in June. And I found out through Vanessa Hale that in May, they'll be reaching out to anyone on any of the boards or commissions that have an expiring term, and they will ask if they'd like to continue. And if someone would like to continue, they'll take that to the select board for the June meeting, and then we'll be set. So it doesn't sound like there's any action that our commission needs to take or that I need to take for that. The youth commission offices are up for re-election in June of this year. And so we were discussing at the agenda setting meeting to bring it up tonight in April, and in May, why don't we have nominations for the officers so we can have time to think about it and then in June vote on that. So any Beth?
We also thought that people could self-nominate. Like you don't have to wait for somebody else to nominate you, because how else would we know that somebody is very interested? So if people want to self-nominate, they are welcome to do so. Correct? Is that correct, Lauren?
Yes, definitely. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, okay.
Agreed.
All right. The Southborough Youth and Family Services request for ARPA funds. I don't remember the adjust part-time clinician request. I remember the clinician request, but what was the adjust part of it, Sarah?
Sure. So I need to come back to the ARPA committee. What I submitted was a range.
Oh, right.
They're
Yeah.
asking for a single figure. So I consulted with other youth and family service directors between the agenda setting, really between my conversation with the ARPA committee representative who reached out to me, and now to consult them on, if you submitted a request that resembled ours, what did you submit for funding per hour? Admittedly, I know we talked about this last time. This was on the agenda, that this was the hardest part for me to monetize, because what a clinician makes per hour varies considerably depending on the setting that you work in. If you're, part of a community-based clinic, your hourly rate is one thing, versus if you're a private practice clinician, it's a very different figure. So essentially, what I heard from other YFS directors was, I have to make sure that I'm citing this accurately, but between $32 to $40 per hour. And that a lot of the staff in the department are, so when you work part-time, your hourly rate tends to be higher than if you're a full-time employee of the department, because full-time employees of the department have the added value of receiving benefits, which part-time staff will not, and thus the hourly rate is higher. The representative from the ARPA committee recommended that because I said, I also submitted a range to you guys because I didn't know what time frame we were looking at. Did we have 3 years, 1 year, 2 years? So he suggested that we go with a 2-year time frame. So that helps us narrow it down. So we're looking at a 2-year time frame, $30 to $40 an hour. The question sort of remains, okay, how many hours per week are we talking about? Just to give my 2 cents, I feel as though, we can't go over 19 and a half because we have to start paying somebody benefits if that happens. I think 19 and a half would be a lot for us to take on, because that's another, considerable amount of time. We're going to have to provide supervision for this person and consult with them. So I was talking about 10 to 15 hours a week at most, but probably more likely 10 hours a week. So I'm not sure if anybody's really super awesome at doing math, but so 52 weeks in a year times 2, 104. How many hours are in a week?
40.
I'm probably going about this all wrong.
Well, no, you said 15 hours per week, so it'd be 15 times 52 if the person works 52 weeks.
I think I'm leaning more towards 10 hours a week.
So it'd be like
520.
like 20 for 2 years, yeah. Mhm.
Times 2, right? 10, 40.
Yeah.
Times
Do you
40
see that?
hours.
So for a
40.
year, it'd be 10 hours a week for 52 weeks, and then times 2 for 2 years.
And then times 40 for just sort of overall cost.
Yes.
But do people work 52 weeks a year?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, wouldn't you take out some for the 2 weeks of vacation?
Well, I mean, they're not going to get paid. They're good. I don't know how they'll get paid weekly or whatever, but just for the grant amount, it could go high, with 4 more weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We're just trying to come up with a number.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the ballpark? What's the range based on all these different parameters?
Well,
If it's $30 for 10 hours, we want to look at the low range and the high range, right?
yeah,
I don't have a calculator in front of me, but
I do.
Yeah.
Let me see.
$33,280 low range. $41,600 for upper range.
So we're looking, just if you round 30 to 42. I'd probably go somewhere in the middle.
35 to 40.
Yeah.
What I would say.
But
they
if
want
she
to,
needs to come up with one number, should we go with the higher number?
how do people feel about $40,000?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
feel
Yes.
very good about,
Yes. Yes,
I would go high,
go that.
and I don't know
And-
if they negotiate down or what, but
Historical is asking for 20,000 for signs. We're talking about mental health. I mean, $40,000 out of $3 million is not that much money.
I
Right.
agree. I agree.
Agreed.
Everybody's sort of asking for things that aren't really as essential as what we're asking for.
Right.
Right.
totally.
Well, should we be asking for 42,000 then?
Ask for 46.
Agreed.
We are
Ask for
asking
46.
for additional, we have two other items that are outlined there, which is another 20 to 25,000 for a year contract with Interface. And then the other one is kind of low hanging fruit, but 5,000 for marketing and outreach materials, which I don't even, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I thought we were going to split the cost of interface with the schools.
That is the plan. In fact, the schools have offered to pay for the next contract, but I made the ARPA committee aware that either whether it's us or the schools, it's the town paying for it.
Mhm.
ARPA funds are a great opportunity to use for mental health support services. And, if that means that money is freed up for something else, I kind of want them to be aware that that's something that we're trying to identify funding for, and that it's
Okay.
not set in stone yet because it's subject to town meeting approval.
Oh, good point. Right. I think we should shoot high on everything.
Mm.
I think this is the year of mental health problems.
No doubt.
We're
Agreed.
dealing with it.
And I think it really should have a priority. So yeah, I would shoot high. I mean, always go in high and negotiate down. If you go in at 20 and
You
this
come
is,
out with 10, right?
yeah, exactly.
Given that this is a request from not just the department, but the youth commission and the department, are you all more comfortable with a request of 46,000?
Yes.
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 I think you
Yes.
just had a
Hmm.
A
vote.
We did a vote.
Yes, we did. We voted. Your
The
board is
ayes
so
have it.
unreasonable. We're so unreasonable, Sarah.
What do you say, Susan? Susan, say yes. And I think this is a good point, a good place for me to read a little bit about the conclusion of the CDC's report, where it says mental health issues among youth are an important public health concern during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And it says comprehensive strategies that improve connections with others at home, in the community, and at school might foster improved mental health among youth during and after the pandemic. I mean, this report just really speaks to why we are asking for money.
So
This is a-
attach that to the request, I say.
Well, and
Agreed.
also we have to consider the lingering effects of what happened too. This isn't going to be a quick fix.
Yeah.
This is a long term. I mean, A lot of the youth through the pandemic missed important social, emotional milestones. I just read an article about early ed kids, and they're coming in, they don't know how to wait in a line, they don't know how to sit still, that they think that they're probably been set back a good longer than the pandemic because they were so isolated. So I think we're in this for the long run, and I think we need to be as prepared both financially and in terms of all the resources we can garner to fight this battle, because it's going to be an enduring one.
Mhm.
So
Well
to
said
the-
and
oh,
agreed.
go ahead. To the ARPA funding request, Beth had suggested that we, even though the ARPA request for funds came from both the Youth and Family Services and the Youth Commission, there's been a suggestion to have a letter of support from our Youth Commission, just kind of, as someone said, include the paper, include
The CDC language.
right.
Yeah, as much support for the request as possible.
Yep.
Sure.
So is that something we should come up with? And someone want to take a stab at writing it?
I'll be glad to do it. And Beth, if you'll help me out with just your language. I
Oh, sure, but I was wondering if we could just like put it together now, like it doesn't have to be fancy. It could just be 3 or 4 sentences stating that we are in support of this request, and that we feel that it's very important. So I don't know how you guys feel about like doing it now.
I think it's going to require more than that. I would like to see some substantiating research like the CDC thing. I mean, I think everybody knows it, but I think it would make it more realistic to people who might not be as in tune to the emotional and mental health needs of our community, to back it up with some substance. So that's my point of view, but I'm willing to be flexible.
I'm seeing it
Right.
as like a 3-page letter.
No. Mhm.
Yeah, I think it needs more deliberation and meat to truly support the request. So I believe we should also take more time to strengthen it.
Okay, so what is the hard deadline? Does anyone know? It's May something, but I don't know what it is.
Beth, if I take a stab at a draft, would you sit down with me and tell me, because you're the queen of the research here. You really are. You got all those facts. And we could draft something out.
But maybe somebody else is better at writing, like would somebody else?
Well, I think, Beth, if you have data to support it, I think Marguerite could take a stab at putting the facts to the paper. I also have quite a few studies that I have crossed my path that would substantiate the tidal wave of demand for mental health services. And we could, other people might have this kind of information. Maybe we could push them towards Marguerite and highlight what might be important. Would that be overwhelming for you, Marguerite, or?
No, you know what I did for a living, right?
No.
I taught professional writing.
Yeah,
If
no, I
everybody
can
wants
tell.
to send me any ideas that they have, I can whip it into something, and then I can give it to you, Beth, or I can give it back to the whole board. It literally is not that hard for me to do, because I get like impassioned. We have to get
Yeah.
this money. We
Yeah.
need it. Everyone will die if we don't get this money.
We need
right?
passion like you, and I can help you with the research and anybody else. I mean, every time I open up a newspaper, New York Times or the Washington Post, there's something some information that will substantiate our dire need for mental health resources and funding.
That's so good. So anything anybody wants to send, I'll pop it together as a draft and then you can all look at it and see what you think. Just, I mean, just.
So, so are you proposing, Marguerite, that people send you, if they want to write something themselves, they send that to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And send me anything you think you care about or is a piece of data, like that CDC thing that you have, Beth, is fantastic.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Maybe some other people have their
Yeah.
own thoughts as well. So do we need to have a special meeting in a couple weeks to make sure that we get this done on time?
That's what I was gonna say, but I think Sarah had something she wants to say.
Well, along the same lines, I was wondering, does the board all want deliberation around this and thus want to schedule a separate meeting? Or I wondered if the board was interested in entrusting Marguerite to this and submitting it on behalf of the board without, just offering input, but without,
I don't know if I wonder if it's something that needs to be voted on before we sign off that it's from the entire commission.
I would
Would
think
be-
that everybody would need to read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the issue is like Beth, if you and I sat down with it together and we sort of hacked away at it, we'd probably get something that was pretty close to sendable and then could present that to the whole commission. Do you think? Or do you want to not? I mean, you're probably like totally really busy because I know you're working a lot now. Now that everything's blooming.
Everything's blooming and everybody wants their cushions covered, so.
So maybe you don't have time. So, well, I'll tell you what.
But if people send you, like, David, you seem to interested in making it meatier, so maybe you have ideas, or Susan is a nurse, so maybe she has some input. So if people want to send
Yes.
Send me every scrap
Yeah.
of interesting stuff and I'll assemble it and then we can all look at it. How's that?
Yeah.
No,
Is
I agree.
Is there enough time? So the next board meeting that's regularly scheduled is May 10th.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely. I can
don't
get it
know
done
what-
in 2 days.
Yeah, well,
I
But to
think
be able
she
to
was saying-
discuss it, you guys have to have a meeting.
Right.
right.
So do we wait till our next meeting or is that too late? And we don't know the answer to that right now.
I'm not sure what the hard deadline is to get it to the ARPA committee, because I know that they are giving it to the select board on the 13th of May. So I don't know how soon they would like to have all
Can
their. Yeah,
Just you bring up a point that the task of the ARPA committee is strictly to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen.
mhm.
This letter could go to the Board of Selectmen because they are the ones that are ultimately making decisions on it. Just a thought, and I don't know if that buys more time in any way, but
Send it to both.
yeah. But
On the 10th, after the 10th of May. That gives.
We
It may
could
not
move-
give,
We could
the
move
ARPA
our
committee.
May meeting up a week. Instead of having it on the second Tuesday, have it on the first Tuesday. Would
Or have
people-
a very short special meeting just to do
Yeah,
it.
a very short special meeting, yeah.
What do you think,
Yep.
Beth? I'm okay with a short special meeting. I mean, in terms of timing, it
Same.
shouldn't take more than half an hour.
Yes.
Yes,
Not like tonight.
no,
This is a marathon.
all right.
Okay,
So,
so what about if we have a special meeting, like, what day is this? Like in 2 weeks, like the 26th.
is that the night of the,
Yes, it
Uh,
is. That we're supposed to go to.
right,
yeah,
I
Night
wouldn't
of
be able to
what?
do it anyway.
Oh,
I do think that this is something that you can deliberate on over email to
That would
identify
be
a
so
meeting date.
much easier.
Yeah, it
No.
might be in the interest of time.
No,
um,
no, we can't.
I don't
That
think
would,
we can.
no, we
Would be
can't. That would-
I went
deliberation.
through you can deliberate on a meeting time.
Oh,
through-
okay, got it.
I'm not
Okay.
saying deliberate on the letter. I'm saying over
Oh,
email, you
Okay.
can talk about when to have a meeting.
Okay,
Per the open meeting law training that I had gone to. I don't know if you want to confirm that, but
no, I think that's
No,
fine.
you can, absolutely. People do doodle polls and everything.
All right.
We should need a half an hour to just go over the draft, that's all.
So
it would
I'll
take.
follow up with a doodle poll or something like
Okay.
that. Either me or Christina will in the next couple of days.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
mhm.
Anything more on that? And then we need to do the Ellen Pontiac scholarship.
Okay,
Oh,
just
boy.
send me your stuff, everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we got some just really great applications for the Ellen Beyondtech scholarship. And I thought that they were very well written, and we have is it six different applicants. And this one I would definitely Marguerite, while you were not on with us earlier, we talked about having kind of roll call discussions. And so on this subject as well, make sure that everyone had a chance to kind of vote for their the one that just sort of, I remember last year, so that some of these you have just a feeling about, and they're just a little bit extra special. Sarah.
I just want to say, just because of the length of our meeting already, one of the other things that I've seen with roll call discussions is that some of the conversations that happen in other board and committee meetings could go on forever and ever and ever. But that one of the nice features of that too is that it gives people a chance to say, like the chair or somebody might go around and give everybody one opportunity, have one rebuttal, but then it's kind of done, because otherwise it goes on for a really long period of time. And this could be one of those situations. Maybe not. Sometimes it's sort of a unanimous vote, but just wanted to add that might be another benefit to doing roll call discussion.
And we're not discussing people by name, I hope.
No, A, B, C,
We don't even
D.
know the names. They're
Okay, they're all redacted. Yeah.
redacted.
Hey, I hate to say this, but I never found those applications. What email were they in?
Christina sent them.
Board packet, the packet.
Yeah,
Well, full confession, I haven't read them either.
okay.
When
And
does this-
I was gonna say, this being my first year doing this, I did get them and I did read them, and I found them hard to distinguish. But they all looked good, and without like a set of criteria to evaluate them, I struggled with this one's better than that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's just the
Oh,
my
I just
opinion
pulled them
from
up. Yeah,
from not having done it in previous years, and not having the experience of how you rank them and rate them. I think it's difficult without something which says, hey, these are some of the basic guidelines that we're looking for in it. That's just my opinion.
Thanks, David. Sarah, when does this have to absolutely be determined and voted on?
could we include this
I-
in our
The special-
special meeting? Our special meeting?
I am looking that up right now. This year's Senior Scholastic Awards Night will be held on Tuesday, May 24th.
Oh, okay.
They are looking for, usually it seems like they need it a whole month in advance. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not seeing that in this letter. Maybe if I go back to the email that this was attached to. I'm not seeing it. So I guess regardless, I'm happy to just tell them, hey, listen, we had hoped to have it decided by this point. It sounds like, you know, we might even be okay to put it off till the May meeting.
Yeah, because I would like it, yeah, I think it got buried in that email because there's a lot of attachments and I thought I had done a good job printing them out, but I missed that one.
Let's do that. And get back to this at the May 10th meeting. Make sure that everyone is an
active participant in the
right.
discussion.
So just to answer, David, we don't have really a criteria. We would just read them over and sometimes one really speaks to all of us more. And sometimes there's a student who is interested in going into in some capacity going into the field of mental health. And usually that student would be more inclined for, we'd be more inclined to award it to that person. So really, we just kind of pick it by who we like, basically. And I will agree that they were all equal in my mind. Like none of them really stood out more than any other.
And that's what made it difficult to say this one's better than that one, because each of them had something in it that was compelling. That they were presenting. So without, you know, something which says, all right, we're looking for these sort of basic guidelines, and it doesn't have to be detailed, but something that says, you know, this one is worth this much more in terms of ranking them. So otherwise it was kind of like, all right, this one looks good. And I like what they're planning to do. And I like dance. So yeah, that dance one was good. So yeah, it's just hard to rate them.
Yeah, and I didn't see that any of them are really planning on going into a
correct
mental health field in any kind of way.
And
a lot of them are doing
it seems like it's like a competition to see who has done the most volunteer.
Yeah. It is.
And I don't know, maybe it's because when you apply for college nowadays, you have to have a long list.
Yes.
From when I was that age, obviously.
And the National Honor Society promotes that too, so it's
so it's kind of, I like the ones that like to list a personal experience, because at least to me, it's like they actually did something. They went and did, you know, with human beings.
Can I
that's a criteria. That's a criteria. Again, it's a way of distinguishing one from the other. Otherwise, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, I would say quality, not quantity. So when it comes to all those activities, but I haven't had an opportunity and I feel really bad. I enjoy reading them, and
we'll do it next month.
Okay.
Sarah, what were you saying?
I was just going to add, so since we're big on historical context in this meeting, Ellen Beyondtech, I know very well. She's a lovely human being. And when she left the department, one of the reason the Youth Commission board decided to honor her time in town with this scholarship was around community service. She had a really strong belief in giving back to the community you live in, not only for the benefit of the community, but also so many young people we work with struggle with self-esteem issues, and that by engaging in community service, it does a lot for the individual, him or herself. And so what it actually says on the certificate that we give to the recipient is this award is given to so-and-so to honor their achievements in exemplary community service. So you're highlighting that now, you know, as a board, do you want to say, wow, this person did a whole lot of community service, this is a really long list, or is it more important for you to be looking at the quality of their experience with community service and what they got out of it? And so I just wanted to give you my understanding of the background of why the Youth Commission put this in place in honor of Ellen Beyondtech because of that.
And that's helpful to know. It's helpful to know as we're looking at them to have that background and understand what was important to her and the scholarship named after her, and see it does the recipient kind of meet that the intent. So I think that's helpful.
All right. So that is it for today's meeting. And if we can have a motion to adjourn, it'll be our first vote of the evening.
Can I interrupt just quickly?
Sure.
I think there was conversation about the next meeting being on May 10th, or the next regular meeting being on May 10th.
Yes.
Yes.
That is election day.
Oh,
Okay.
So it can't, I don't think they let us have meetings on election day.
This happens every year, actually. Thank you for, every year we have to change at least one of our meetings. So actually you guys were talking about doing a special meeting. I wonder if we're gonna have to change that May 10th meeting if that's in fact election day. So if it's okay with you all, I'll talk with Christina. I'll have Christina confer with Lauren that she wants her to, that it would be helpful for her to move forward with the doodle poll for the next meeting. But yes, good catch, Marguerite.
I remember from
Marguerite, you're on the
before.
ball.
I remember from before.
So if we just moved our meeting to a week before that, we wouldn't have to have a special meeting. We could just do it.
Do it
May
on the
3rd.
3rd.
Sounds good.
That works for
Sounds
me.
good.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Good idea, Beth. So we could do it on the 3rd.
yeah.
So I think I'll just have Christina follow up again with just confirm that May 3rd would work for everyone, and
Okay.
include Sue Butka in that as well.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's true. And get the Zoom room. That's the other part. The competition for Zoom rooms has gotten very out of control now. It's like
We
people
had
are-
a Zoom room 90 days in advance and we got bumped.
No.
So we'll secure a room, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So it's
90
okay.
days?
No
Oh.
offense to anybody watching. We understand.
Yeah.
There are important discussions that are being had.
And
Definitely.
it happens regardless, so
It's true. It's true.
no, I'm
Anyway.
done.
So shall I move to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Have a second?
Love you all, but
I move. It's
Second.
9:12.
I
move
second.
to- Okay.
Second.
I.
It's a roll call vote. Susan Byer, Beth Dombacher,
Bye.
Sarah Micus,
I.
Marguerite Landry,
Hi.
and David Joyner.
Hi.
All righty. We are
We had
adjourned
to
at
adjourn.
9:12.
Ran out of paper.
Guys know that this used to be the norm. This
Yeah.
used to be the
I know.
norm. We would
Yeah.
meet until like 9:30.
Yeah.
10:30.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. All right.
Thank
night,
you for
everybody.
cheering.
Right.
Lauren.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good week. Bye.